We're sitting here with Dr. Ananthi Jebasingh, who earlier on formed a school for children that did not have opportunities to go to school in the Delhi area. But now we're curious. We're out here in the midst of nothing, and you have built another school. Who is it for, and what led you to do that?
I have heard of these people in Bastar for a long time, since we were working with Friends Missionary Prayer Band, and I had a longing to come and see the situation here. But once a girl was working whose parents were missionaries here, and when she settled here, I wanted to come and see. When I came, there was a new couple who were not known to me, and they offered to take me inside the tribal area, and I agreed to go with them because I was very much interested in seeing the tribal life here. And he took me to husband and wife, they took me into the villages, and we were to see many, many things. We were here for 4 days, but every day was a very marvelous revelation to me from the Lord. The first day we met the block development officer, and he asked us to go to one village where it's not possible for the government to go and work. We didn't want to go, but anyway, the Lord prompted us to go, and we went through the forest, and finally we found the hill where the village was situated. We could see 2 heads, and when we waved, they disappeared. And again we will see the 2 heads, but when we waved, they disappeared. So I offered to go up alone because I'm a woman, but when I went up, again they ran. I could see them run like gazelles, and I couldn't go behind them. It was raining. I went inside the huts, and everything was empty. And then I came back sad that we are not able to see them. And when we wanted to return, the block development officer had sent the secretary to be with us. So he came, and he could speak the language of the people. And when he came, we looked back, and we could see hundreds of heads popping up from behind the fence. And that was marvelous. And he took us in, and we were nearly 8 in the group. Another lady engineer was with me. 2 American young men were with me, and then we had other staff, and we went up with them, and we were seated in a veranda-like thing, but next to that was a pigsty. And we were all sitting there, and the ladies and children were there, and they were drinking something from a leaf cup. And we thought they will understand Hindi, and we started clapping our hands and singing Hindi songs. And they were sipping their rice beer or mahua, I don't know. They were sipping that, but suddenly we were surrounded by men running in line, and then all pointing their bows or arrows towards us. That was just, it was bone chilling. We were almost frozen, and we stopped singing, and then slowly we could feel that the Lord is present in that place. So I lifted up my hand slowly, ever too slowly, inch by inch, and then I just made this sign, that is, you just come near us, come to us. And when I did that, they together at one go, they all jumped the fence and came inside, but still the arrows pointing to us. They were nearer now, and the boys from America, they felt any time the arrow is going to pierce their back, and they were getting ready for that. And when they came in again, we didn't know what to do, and then slowly turned my face and smiled at them, and then made this sign, that is, sit, sit. And then they sat, put down their bows and arrows and sat, and I could talk to them like showing signs in sign language that we have come to teach you, and we will teach you to write, we will teach you to read. That is what we said. And the secretary was also telling them that they will teach you, and then they became friendly. After that, I could go to them and the staff, we went nearer. There was only one camera with us that was carried by the American young man, Preston Correll, and he took some photos with them. After that only we got strength that he pulled out his camera and took some photos when they were showing the bows and arrows to me, and I hung it on my shoulders. They became very friendly, and then they came to the end of the hill and waved us. They couldn't wave, they didn't know bye-bye and all, so they just saw us off. And that was so touching, what we can do to these people. And the second day, that man took us to another village to see a leader. And he was happy to see us, and he took us to a house, which he said he will give that for us to teach. So we went inside a door, and there was inside another room, but door was on the other side, and everything was pitch dark. And we found our way and went back and went into that room, and he told us he will give that room to run the school. Oh, I didn't know what to say. In pitch dark, he wanted us to teach. Anyway, we waved and then came. He was in a hurry to go about all the procedure. So he said he is going for a wedding and we should come with him. We refused because we don't have invitation. He said, no matter, you come. So we all got into the jeep and went there to the wedding. And on the way, we could see many people standing under the trees and changing their dress and all. They were going, all tribal people. In one place, we danced with them. And then we went up a plateau, and suddenly we came across thousands of people, Koya tribal people. All were bison horn Madhyas, and they were having their headgear, 1, 2, 3 rings of those leaders dancing, and around them with drums people were dancing, and around them people coming and joining, rings and rings, rows and rows of people dancing. And that was their wedding ceremony. So we participated in that. We saw the bride and the groom, both were covered with thick bed sheets, sweating, and they should not see each other before the ceremony, so they showed us like this, only the face. And we prayed for them and we came out. It was a very, very strange and remarkable experience, still etched on my heart. And I came out, and then the next day, they were going to, third day, we were going to see another place. And there, in the middle of nowhere, they stopped the jeep and they said, get down. And the lady engineer who was coming with me, she was holding on to the jeep and she said, I will not get down, I will not get down. I didn't know why she was doing, and I looked down and there was a deep gorge, a ravine, and she refused to get down. And then the man who was taking us, he said, sister, there are believers on the outside, so on the other side. So immediately I got down. And we had to go just steep like this, and then we had to climb steep. And 2 men were just going before me, and I was holding their hand, and I was asking them, if I sleep, what will happen? All the 3 of us will fall down to our death. He said, okay, we will go. So that is how we step by step, we went down and then crossed the ravine, and then we climbed up. And there we saw some poles and flags and all. That was their tribal worship place. And then we were led into a hut, very small door. We had to bow and then go inside. There was another door, and we went through that. And another door, we went through that. And there we saw a table with the cross. The young man who came with me, he just fell face down in worship. And I just knelt down because it was so awesome. Just some logs and all, and the table and the cross, how people are coming to the Lord. The 2 young men were conducting the service, we were there, and since then they are murdered already, but we heard about that. But they were leading the church. And that was the third experience. So it was so difficult to tell about Jesus in that village. And we came back, and then the fourth day I was in the hotel, and I was just praying, and I was worried, who will come to this place to teach? Who will come to this place to serve? No one will come. What will we do, Lord, if we have to give something to these people? If we have to educate the people, what will we do? And when I was just saying that aloud, the man and wife who were with me, who took me around, they said, sister, we surrender our lives. We are willing to go there and teach. That was the fourth climax in that trip. And I was so happy and came out, and then we prepared. We got the tribal people to Delhi, those who can little bit understand something. They were all uneducated or educated up to 5th grade. So we brought them there in their own language. We developed some primers. And then we came back and then rented some huts, and we started school. First in that very difficult area, near that area, and then in this place, Bejripadar, and then another place. In 3 places we started schools, and the schools it was not crowded at that time, but now since then so many people have come to this area, and it is almost thickly populated around the school. When the school comes up, many of these Koya people, Koya language, that is one of the Gondi languages, and these speaking people, they will move here, and they know it is for them. And another language, Halbi language, people are also here. So some more tribal, Durva and another, a few more tribal people are there. They all come to this school, and they are so happy, and they can speak good English now. They can speak to you, and the way they are coming up, the leaders marvel at how they are coming up well in their studies, and how they can speak Hindi and how they can speak English. And on top of all these things, they come to know Jesus. They come to know the living Savior. And the church is growing in spite of persecution in this area. Thank you.
You came here how many years ago?
I came here 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yes.
But today we're here for the dedication of your first school building.
This is God's doing and your help.
And there are homes that you've been using, and you have how many students now?
Now we are having 150.
So this will be full when you start.
Yes.
But you're looking forward to doing the rest of the building.
Yes.
And when it's completed, phase 2 and 3,
yes,
how many students will it accommodate?
I think it will accommodate more than 1,000 children.
1,000 children?
Yes.
And yet you don't see very many houses around here.
Yes, but they walk from distant places. They walk even from 10 kilometers away to come to school. Right? Now we are trying to get some buses on loan, so we can pay and children can come.
Well, this is an exciting day, and I know you're all ready for this to start the dedication.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
That's great, how God works.
Do we have a moment for her to share how God placed her in the ministry that she's now in?
Good.
Where the little girl came and visited you.
Okay.
Now this is going back to the starting of the school in Delhi. And that's the mother school to all these others that are popping up.
Yes.
All right.
So starting of the school, it was not my plan, or not at all in my dreams or any vision. I never thought of having schools or having to do with children. I loved children, but I was teaching in college. When we moved to Delhi, with my husband taking charge of Transworld Radio, I didn't think much except for completing my studies and research and all those things. But when I was halfway through my MPhil degree, my husband called me and he said, there is a tribe in India, the bishop is here, he says there's no way to give follow-up literature for them. And they say they don't have a writing system And I told him that you can develop a writing system. Oh my, I thought, what my husband is thinking of me. I said, me? I can't develop a writing system. But he said, you can, and put down the phone. But this was working in my mind, and by that time I had translated the book of Paul Freed, Towers to Eternity, and that made me to pray for dedicating my life also to serve the Lord full time. And I was waiting and praying upon the Lord, and it seemed that the Lord is not at all answering me. And I cried to him, you don't want me as a worker. If anyone comes to my door and asks me for work, and if I say no, they have to go away. The same way you are doing that to me, Lord, I used to cry. But one day, one little boy came knocking at the door, and he was a beggar boy. And I gave him just the bread and whatever that was left out, and he was so happy. He hugged the bread piece and then ran away. So every day he started coming, and I was happy to give him. He was like my son, so I will save whatever was left out from breakfast and I will give him. But one day he came late. It was 2 o'clock, and I had finished my research, waiting for Viva, and I was resting, and he rang the bell, and I went out. But that day I saw nearly 25 children, all haggard and unkempt hair, and I was slightly getting upset, and then I asked them angrily, why did you come? And one girl in a corner, she was holding another child, and she said, "Bhook lag rahi hai." It means we are hungry. But I was angry. And I said, I am not here in Delhi to make all of you beggars. You go away. And angrily I shut the door and came in. But the moment I took one step inside, the Lord started talking to me. And it was coming in my brain, not outside. We are hungry, we are hungry, we are hungry, like that. And it was going here, there, like a ball going here and there. It was going in my mind, and I couldn't bear that. I just went into my bedroom and just fell on my knees, and I was holding up my hand. I was crying to the Lord, Lord, what have I done? What do you want me to do? Already I was praying for 3 months, fasting and praying that I will do the Lord's work. And here I sent the children away. And I was crying, and the Lord's answer was, you feed them. And I couldn't understand. And then I was praying that the boy will come back, but they were so scared to death. I never got angry with him, and he didn't come back for quite some time. Then one day again I had the bell ringing, and I jumped and went out and called him in and apologized for behaving like that. And then I told him, you should not be a beggar. You should learn something. I can teach you, and you can learn, and then you can have a decent life. And he agreed. I came in, and then I started teaching him Hindi. I knew the alphabets. But that night, God told me, you have to teach what you had developed. My research was over. I had developed a simple writing system. So the next day, I was fighting with God. People will think I am mad. Here all are Hindi speaking, and they are having their own language and writing system. And how can I introduce this? And God's voice was very clear. So next day I started putting just one line and telling, this is A. And first, people sent back notes that this is not the alphabet, and they wrote some English alphabets and Hindi alphabet. This is the alphabet. Then I stopped sending the notebooks back home, and I kept it there, and I started teaching. And then we needed, so many children came to my garage, and we didn't have place. We were there in the road. I sat them near the house. It was road. And there was an accident, so it prompted me to go to the slum commissioner with some friends. We went to the slum commissioner asking for a room to do the work, asking for a place where we can put a tent in the slum and continue with our work. But then he said that he has no right to allow us to put a tent, but he said there is a toilet complex. There is a room inside as night shelter. You can take up the room and night you give it to the people to sleep. And I was shocked to hear that. Here was I, a decent woman, and I had just completed my doctorate degree, and he wants me to go into this toilet complex. And when I was just looking at him, I couldn't believe myself, neither could I believe him asking me that. When I was looking at him, his face just vanished, and I could see the manger scene just going in front of me. And when the Lord of Lords, God of Gods, could come down into a manger, why can't I go into the toilet complex? That made me immediately say, yes, sir, we will take the toilet complex. And the keys were handed over to us. And when we opened the door, that smell just hit us so hard. And we went back. And then we went again inside. And we put all the fans. And that won't take the smell out. We took roses and lilies. That won't take the smell out. But the children were so happy. From the road and our veranda, they rushed into this room and sat very happily. And my husband made some desks for me to do there. And we started school in the toilet complex. It was a very difficult experience. But as it was the will of God, I was so sure it was the will of God. And we could take it through. And young girls joined me as teachers. They were not worried about this, the dirt and the smell. Sometimes madmen walked in, and I will have to go and entice them with a cup of milk and take them out. And whenever we had to give them food, that is milk, we used to give them because they were highly malnourished. When we had to give them milk, we had to sweep the defecation that was all around, fresh defecation. We had to sweep it out and then have the children go there. And sometimes for months together there won't be water and defecation will pile up to 1 foot. And I had to call the government officers again and again to come and see the condition and clean it up. And it was a very difficult experience, but God kept us there for 13 years. The sweet smell of the Lord was there all the time, and people marveled at how we could run the school there. And then they were going to demolish the slum, and we were directed to the education department, and we had to have money in our bank account to apply for land. At that time, ICM, Doyce Rosser and Bert, you came to that school. And Doyce Rosser was asking me, what do you want? I couldn't say anything. Sitting in a toilet complex and teaching the children, I couldn't aim for anything more. I just wanted to do day-to-day work faithfully, that's all. But Bert said, what does she need but a school? So that day we thought we should have a school, and immediately Doyce asked, you make a plan for the school. And we made a plan, and then it happened, and we have a beautiful school in Delhi for the slum children. And we have now 4 schools in Delhi, smaller schools, and then in Bastar we have 3 schools, and this building is a very big treasure. Not for us, but for the people here. People, the tribal people, who were not even dressed properly when I came. And they couldn't see the vehicle, they will cling on to the hedge. And then they couldn't stand before us, they will run away from us and hide themselves. But now the children are so well kept, and they are cultured, they can speak in English. In 10 years, the marvelous change that is coming over them is through the Spirit of God. Thank you for making it happen.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, thank you. Beautiful. Thank you very much.